It's See Something, Say Something. Candress and Cindy are two therapists aiming to demystify therapy and pull the curtain on the people who are conducting your session.
Surprise, surprise. Therapists are people too. Listening as we giggle, chat about culture, navigating life experiences, discussing the things we like, and mental health.
I am glad you ordered your Bible.
I mean, I already have like 5.
Which one did you order?
The one that's like broken down, like a study Bible.
I saw some that had pictures in it the other day, and I was like, I think
the one that's on all the TikTok shops.
I was like, that looks
I got one of those too.
fun. Or like a cool, I don't know. I was gifted a Bible by one of my old grad school friends, Leah. It was so nice, because I really hadn't had one in a while. Or like, I always had the ones that were just like, in the Bible, you know, which is great, but I needed one that was like also broken down a little bit.
Right, to really absorb the information, digest it.
Yeah. So I'm going to read.
Wait, should we say hi?
Oh, sorry, guys.
Hey, guys.
Hello.
Didn't see you there. You caught us in the middle of a very genuine conversation.
Yeah, which we like that. We want that.
Authenticity. Authenticity.
Yeah. So hello, welcome to another episode.
Welcome back.
See Something, Say Something.
See Something, Say Something.
Yeah, I feel like we're vibing today. It's a great, honestly, day. I mean, I didn't start off that way for me, but...
Me neither, but I think there was a shift as we got closer to this time. Mm-hmm. So many things happened and turned it around.
Should we talk about our morning so far?
The good or the bad?
All of it, because... I think it was a balance of both, right? We went through trauma together. We went through turmoil, and then along the way...
We were both in moods. We said this was going to be a moody pod today.
Which is always moody, but I don't mind.
No, it was going to be moody.
Somber. It's going to be somber.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
It was giving like, pull me out the hole. Or leave me there.
Or leave me there, baby. The sunken place can be cozy.
Shoot.
But then things shifted while like we got some cute little drinky drinks from a cute little coffee shop.
It was a Colombian coffee shop too, so that was nice. It was Colombian. Oh, it was a Costa Rican.
I don't know. Whatever it was tasty. Sorry. The chai was flavorsome. The matcha got there.
Green bean.
And then while we were waiting to come in here, we are filming at an earlier time than usual, so we actually get to see like our peers who are filming as well. So we made some new friends.
A little community.
Should we plug them?
Yes, they're called the Black Heart Podcast. Yes. So we're excited about them. It was 3 dudes, new guys that we literally just met today. Mm-hmm. But I think it's going to be nice because we're going to eventually do like a podcast crossover episode. Yes. So shout out to Hello Studios where we filmed to just being able to bring the community together. And I'm really excited. That was I think both of our moves were like, exciting. Because they were like, y'all about to rob the place? Because like, get us in.
Yeah, because it's hot.
Because it's hot as hell out here in Texas. And then, banter. And then it just turned out we were all podcasters. So that was pretty fun.
It was really cute. That's encouraging and exciting. And it made it real. Like, oh my gosh, we're podcasters. We're podcaster friends.
Like, we're all in this thing together. Like.
We're all in this together. Yeah, so that was exciting. And so now we're here. We were like chit-chatting, and then we're like, let's go ahead and press record because this is about to get into the meat and potatoes.
Yeah, because we're just chatting, but like
don't miss out.
All the stuff was good. I was like, oh, we need to be recording this content right now.
Also, there's so much to say because we haven't seen each other, but we'll get into that later.
No, we literally haven't seen each other, I don't know, maybe like a week at this point. Maybe
Which
longer.
is like a lifetime for us.
Yeah, because we're neighbors. So we see each other all the time. But, life has been happening for both of us, and transitions are happening, and it's now summertime, So by the time y'all see this, it's going to be a little later in the summer, but still summer. So all the vibes and all the things are happening. We're shifted. I like that we had a little energy switch. I feel when I first started today, I think I experienced insomnia because I was up at like 3 a.m. I fell asleep on my couch again. I hate that shit. So I fell asleep at 3 a.m. on my couch, woke up. I got myself up. I was like, fuck. And then went and washed my face because I was like, I need to go ahead and put this retinol on. And then
she said the skincare routine still is going to happen
because I feel it. My skin starts to feel leathery, and I have sensitive skin.
Leathery.
I don't like it. It's not good. The texture just feels like thorough. Like right now, my skin's like. But like if I don't, I feel like it feels crumbleina. So then I was like, okay, do the skincare, fine. Then I got in bed, and then I was on TikTok posting at 4 a.m. because I was like.
That TikTok will get you, baby.
Let's clear the drafts.
The portal.
I'm here. Let's have fun. So then I woke up in a mood because I only had I had weird gapped sleep. So that's why I woke up the way I did. But I'm at a smooth 8 now out of 10. I feel better.
Cute. I've been in a perpetual mood for weeks.
Yeah.
But I talk about this all the time, and my therapist and I talk about this all the time, how quick things can change, and it's always just like, ooh, wow. Like, literally, anything could happen and it could change things so drastically.
True.
It could be a week, it could be a day, it could be a minute, so I just love stuff like that. So yeah, I would say I'm at like a 8.
You too?
And I'm going to keep it there, because before I was beneath. Baby, I was in the negatives, honey.
Not negatives. Yeah. See, this is why I was talking about the vibrational shit.
Yeah, the low vibration.
Yeah. I don't know. I was on some energy stuff this morning. I was on TikTok. And someone was just talking about ways to shift your energy, which is just it was joy, love, and something else, maybe peace or mindfulness or something. So she was just talking about the normal practices that, I mean, I think we all engage in, right? It doesn't have to be literal meditation, but sometimes it's cooking yourself a good meal and that type of stuff. And so she was talking about that. So I was like, dang, what am I going to do? Because I've been feeling really weird lately, and maybe just rushed on time that I have for myself, because I'm anticipating a lot of things. And so I was like, how can I switch my own vibration this morning? And I didn't have an answer, but I knew I needed to eat.
Right. It started with the meal.
It started with the I'm a hungry
nutrition.
When me and Candress met up on the sidewalk, I was like, I'm hungry. And the place we were trying to go to was
hangry, baby.
I'm always hangry. I'm not a person who, baby, I need that meal. I don't give a damn.
I need my tummy to be full.
Yeah, that's what I needed. So I'm glad that we're shifting. So on that note, I brought my book, Acts of Faith. This is by Ayanla.
Auntie Yam. I love
just
Ayanla.
to show you guys, I don't know if y'all could see that, but this is Acts of Faith. And so, I've had this book for years. This was a random pickup at Barnes & Nobles at some point. And this is even before, I didn't even think I saw that it was by Ayanla at the time. I just was like, oh, for people of color, meditation's nice. And then I picked it up and I was like, oh my God, she compiled this book. So not every single quote or story in here is by her, but I still think it's cool. So we decided to start it off a little different today. I wanted to read the quote to you guys, and then we'll just talk about it and then get into it. So this is for June 23rd. I've always wanted to be an orator.
Audible, listen
up. Self-hate is a form of mental slavery that results in poverty, ignorance, and crime, by Susan Taylor. So and I'm assuming, before I get into it, I think Ayanla might have written the, response to those quotes. So, when you don't feel good about yourself, it is hard to feel good about anything or anyone else. You see everything with a jaundiced eye. You miss the value and worth of every experience. You limit yourself because you don't feel good about who you are or what you do. You hold yourself back because you don't believe what you want is worthwhile. You put yourself in situations that are abusive or unproductive. You feel bad about yourself because of what you've done. Self-hate is a vicious cycle that leads to self-destruction. It fills the world with hate and people with despair. The only way to get out of the cycle of self-hate is to allow yourself to believe the world is waiting for who you are becoming. What the world must do is let every being know they are appreciated and welcomed simply for being who they are. And then, I am loving myself for being a lovable being. That's the affirmation. Which I love that. Yeah. So I always feel like it's interesting when I read from this book, because I'm like, dang, sometimes it's on point, sometimes it's not. I feel like, or sometimes I'm like, sometimes it's generalized. I'm like, okay, I don't really feel that today, but I guess I feel this. I've personally been thinking a lot about just myself lately on I don't know, something switched. I guess in particular, I'm thinking about what does it mean to be in my body? What do I like? What are the things I
have had that same thought too, because I was like, I feel disconnected.
I've been feeling.
So I'm trying to get connected, and I'm thinking that too. I'm like, I literally am having the same thing, Cindy. I was like, so what are things that I like? What are things that I want to do? Because I feel like I've been an autopilot for years. And I was talking to my sister about that yesterday. I was like, I feel like the past 5 years have kind of been a blur. Like, and I want to get back connected to like the things that I enjoy. And some of those things might be new, or I need to explore, and I need to create space for that.
Yeah.
But I don't even know. Like, that's crazy. I've been having the same thought too.
It's like, girl, we be connected when we're not even like chatting. But no, like I feel it. Like, especially that one where you said, like the only way to get out of the cycle of self-hate is to allow yourself to believe the world is waiting for who you are becoming. I think for me, like, I don't think I feel self-hate
Yeah, that's a little extreme for
okay, let me get it. But like, I don't know what word I would replace that with, but I have been feeling self-reflective and kind of feeling like, what are the gaps that I'm feeling right now? Like, I know I'm becoming someone new. I'm excited to meet her, but I don't necessarily know what steps to take right now. I know one of them is discipline, but that's also like so exhausting. So like, I'm kind of like not in the place to really want to practice that right now.
What else is on the list? A little bit lower down.
Yeah, like, relax. Why would we jump to that?
Like, that's the hardest one. That's like ever flowing, everlasting.
Yeah.
Discipline's hard. But then the thing about it is, like, when you are disciplined, so many things can change. So it's like the thing that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
I've been feeling lost lately. Lost is like the word. I just feel like, I don't know. I really do feel like I'm in the sunken place. And just disconnected. I don't even know. Just autopilot, man. And so, like, I am thinking about, like, the things that I enjoy or that I want to enjoy. I do know that I have a bigger purpose and, like, you know, getting closer to that. But then there's so many directions that I can go. And then that's overwhelming because I'm like, dang, like, is it to be a nonprofit owner, or is it for me to be on TV, or is it for me to be a podcast? Like, I'm so confused. It might be
all of the things too.
Girl, no, that sounds like a lot of work.
I would like it to kind of mesh together because I don't know. Yeah. I used to think, and I don't think I'll completely maybe own a specific nonprofit, but I've always thought about like building a community, you know, but I think that stems from the work that we do. So podcasting is one avenue, right? Being a therapist right now is another. And then that's the thing. And then I think also, like, I don't know, nonprofit work is a lot though, too.
I don't want a lot of work.
Yeah, that's why I kind of like that's why I kind of like shifted, because I was like, I think right now I am working on becoming, like, I'm a founder of an organization we're trying to turn nonprofit, but I also had to recognize for myself that I have to take a little bit of a step back on being like the sole, you know what I mean? Like, and I never have been, but just the mindset around it. I was like, I don't think I can commit to this one thing right now because I have lots of ideas. So how can I like broaden that out, but also not burn myself out, but also live my life and also get excited for like all the other parts of myself, and then also do my hobbies, and then also, you know, that's a lot of things. So I guess, yeah, I can understand feeling lost because I'm like, I haven't really known, like, what space is going to make me feel, like, fulfilled. And then I've been feeling kind of lonely, too, a little bit.
Yeah. Why are we going through it together?
Going through it. Like, not that I don't have friends or people, but sometimes I realize that all my friends and people have other friends and people, and then sometimes it's just me. Like, you know, and I'm like, dang, I don't feel like I have, like, I feel like I kind of want, like, a group of 3 right now, where it's, like, 3 friends, and, like, we all come together for lunches. We all come together to go hang out. We all come together to do things. And maybe this is like babyish, but like that has just been kind of like, I'm like, dang, I need like girlfriends. I also probably need a partner, but like I don't need just one because you can't get everything from one person either.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know those are the things I want, but I also know it's not going to be just what completes me. So while I kind of wait for my community of people to build up and support systems, I'm like, okay, now what can I do for me? And that has been kind of confusing because I feel like I always do stuff for myself. Like I love doing hobbies. I love like, you know, going out, but I did realize the other day when I went thrifting, me and Gabby went to like a vintage shop and I hadn't done that in a really, really long time. But those are things I used to love to do. Just like pick myself up, try a new spot, like go. And maybe it's work. Maybe it's my mindset being in all these different spaces, but I'm just exhausted, right? I don't really do that anymore. And from there, I feel disconnected from myself because like something that I used to just love doing as a way to express myself, I literally live 6 minutes away from the place she took me. And I'm like, why didn't I know about this? You know what I mean? And I've been living here for a year.
Yeah.
But then I do feel like I explore at the same time. So, like, I don't know. I'm feeling some
it's weird. Like, imbalance.
Imbalances. Yeah. And just, like, not necessarily knowing exactly how to meet myself, I guess, in this new season.
Yeah. Yeah, I think to reframe what I said about feeling lost, like another way I could put it is like,
okay, reframe.
I know all the things that I don't want. Mm-hmm. But then it's like,
now what do I want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could tell you what I don't want. Mm-hmm. Like, that's so easy. I know what I don't want to entertain, what I don't want in my circle. But then I'm like, okay.
I don't
know.
Yeah, which is, I guess, where some of the discipline comes in, right?
Oh, girl.
And, like, the decisiveness and making choices.
And I'm the most indecisive person. I'm very much like, wherever the Lord takes me, my steps are aligned. And I feel like that's kind of like my get out of jail free card, too. So that I don't have to, like, have any responsibility behind that. And then don't have to take no action either. It's just like wherever I end up is where I end up.
No, and, like, that's the thing. I feel like when God calls you to have a plan, you have to still have a plan. Like, I feel like...
I'm not a planner.
I feel like people just kind of like, he's going to let me know. But also, why didn't you think about yourself? You know what I mean? Like, we have to have, like, a moment where we get a little clearer. And so, like, I know I got to start connecting. And I also have to start, like, recognizing, because maybe that's going to be what's helpful to put me back in my body and feel connected again in this new season. Because, yeah, I just had a whole thing happen. And so it's like, I'm rediscovering myself. I'm really trying to listen to my body, right? What does it want? What does it need?
You get a second chance, kind of, like...
Yeah, like it's a kind of a...
fresh start.
Kind of a rebirth in some sense, right? To where it's like, okay... Now I have to, I guess I can share.
You keep saying this thing and I was like...
I don't know. I think this is the African in me. Like, don't tell everybody your business. But I have to be honest, this is my podcast. So it's already happened now and I'm on the other side. So I had a myectomy, which is a fibroid removal surgery. I cannot believe I'm talking about this, but I'm also happy I am.
Yeah.
I know, it feels so
there's going to be
personal.
But so many people can like relate to this. And they might need this.
It's true. And I feel like I needed more information before I did it, which I'm so glad one of my cousins, she had it and she called me. And her surgery was a little different, but I think just to know that I wasn't by myself in the process. And like 2 of my friends had ones, but theirs were less invasive because theirs was smaller. But mine was pretty big at the time. Mine was the size of an orange. And then I learned I had another one.
Your what?
My fibroid. My fibroid baby that I had to deliver. I have pictures.
Oh my God.
I had to show you. God, it was crazy. I actually had to go to labor and delivery for the process. So like I keep saying I delivered it because I did. Like I didn't push nothing out, but I was in that bitch. Like I definitely had to go under.
It up, maybe like Benihana. It was so crazy to me.
Actually, they didn't. It's whole. I'm gonna show you. Even more interesting. I'm not a scientist in that way, so I don't really know what was going on. But shout out to my doctor, my beautiful Black doctor. She did make me feel comfortable, and the nurses there and the staff. What was interesting is that my parents kind of knew a lot of the staff there because they worked at that hospital as well. They worked at different locations. It was so weird, but neither here nor there. So I had a myectomy, which is a laparoscopic myectomy, which is a fibroid removal surgery to take out these fibroids that I've had for years that I didn't really learn about until maybe 3 years ago. And it can affect so many things: your anxiety, depression, mood levels, pain, and bloating, stomach shape, like all the things I've probably been insecure about for a long time. But I didn't know what to do. Like I work out, I do all these things, but I still have people saying crazy things about my body and feeling like they can share opinions. And so, and it can affect fertility. Like it can affect a lot. People sometimes can't have kids because of it, depending on where it's located. And so I, was doing pretty okay, like managing daily life with it. But I was like, I just feel like I'm about to be 30 in September. I don't want to go into my 30s still struggling with this, or then having to do the surgery years down the line. I want to do it now while I can. And so I did. And so there is like a spiritual connection when it comes to fibroids and like the removal of them as well, because for a lot of people, it's like you are having like a rebirth, right? Like you are releasing something. And that's tied to your emotions, your physical and mental well-being, spiritual, and all of the things. So I'm still trying to learn more about it, but it has been a shift. Like, I had to be down for like 2 weeks, literally couldn't walk the first couple of days, just a lot of like, you know, stress in my stomach, me having to allow people to help me, which was like different. Like, just, you know, just also not even allowing people to help me, but also asking for the help, right? Because I'm so used to doing some certain things alone. So like after all of that, like I'm in a space now where I'm like, okay, now I'm re-meeting this new body, taking care of it differently, having to really listen to my body, right? My health and all the things. Because I am generally healthy, right? But it was this thing that I had that could like
holding you back.
Hold me back, right? So now that it's gone, my doctor's like, you're good. You're healthy. She's like, resume activity. I had my follow-up last week and she was like, just, you know, be mindful. Literally, she said, just listen to your body. So since she said that, I've just been trying to like, do exactly that. Like eating and all the things, being more intuitive, like being balanced, getting in my protein. So, it's a whole different game. And it took me 3 doctors to really understand like what was happening with me. And to feel comfortable to even talk about it now, right? Like I got a lot more education. Just, you know, people being able to help me feel comfortable with the decision that I was making too, and knowing that this was for the best. So yeah, guys, that is what I'm in recovery from. I'm 2 weeks out now, and yeah, I am feeling lighter. Like I remember not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before, I like catapulted myself out of bed, and I was like, what? And this was like energy. Like I was like, what was that? And then I took a long ass walk and then I got winded. So it's like listening to your body and recognizing how much you can do when you're in recovery or dealing with health issues or just dealing with, and it wasn't just like physical, right? It's been emotional too. Like just all of it. Like the first day I came home, I cried because I was like, I'm looking at my scars. That's the whole thing. And then I'm also like, damn, I can't pick this up. So like I'm frustrated, you know, just all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's been a very interesting process of like releasing control on what because I can't do nothing, right? I can't rush the process of healing. Yeah. And this is literally the physical embodiment of that right now. So I do feel like I'm in a different season, and yeah, kind of interested to see what everything's going to look like. But I hope I can keep this kind of like sense of peace that I'm trying to create. Yeah. Yeah, but work. I'm thinking about like when I have to go back.
Don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Don't even think about it.
And that's why I'm like, life has to look different, guys, because I have been able to rest, and I haven't done that in a long time. And I'm like, oh, I think this is what I've been needing, right? Like a real environmental, physical, emotional detox and reset.
Yeah.
And like,
you want to maintain that.
I want to maintain that. It feels kind of icky going back into like environments that don't serve that for me, to be honest with you.
Girl, I can relate.
No tea, no shade, but
that's not tea. That is tea, but like it's honest tea.
Real.
It's honesty. Anyway,
honesty.
I can relate to that because that's why I'm like so adamant about like how I feel right now, and like something has to change, because when I shifted from my last job to this job, I intentionally set it where I had a month in between, and I just was so relaxed and happy and healthy, and I was like, I'm gonna keep this. And so that's kind of why I was like so quiet. I was like, I'm not getting into the politics. I'm not getting into all that, because I want to maintain this peace. And then I was kind of catapulted into like a position where I can't do that. Yeah. And that's why I feel so torn and shifted like spiritually, because I'm like, I'm not losing myself again or my peace. It means too much. And
you worked really hard for it.
Baby, and I earned it. And so that's why I'm just like, I can see this toxic side. So that's why I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah.
So, girl, listen to your body, like your doctor said, because it's not worth it.
Yeah. And for you too, right? Like, girl, recognizing when we have to shift. Okay. When we have to shift, and when we have to...
By the time this is released, I'm sure there'll be a shift.
We're hopeful.
For both of us.
We're hopeful for both of us, okay? Shifts. And then, like, the shifts can bring in new energy, new environments, new ability to kind of, like, I don't know, be in the places that you want to be in. Like, so many thoughts. Yeah.
So many thoughts.
But yeah, guys, as a side note, go to your OBGYN, get checked out.
Honestly, it's so true. One of my clients was talking about how she didn't go. Like, she never gotten a pap smear. And I'm like, what?
Is she grown? Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, I feel like there's something.
She's like, what is that? And I was like,
oh, hell no, ma'am. Not what is that. But I can't even blame her.
I love knowing what's going on. I hate the feeling, but girl, I want to know.
Yeah.
And do my blood work and do some testing. I want to know everything.
Yeah.
I want a little mirror inside to my insides. I want to know.
I want to see my cervix.
I actually don't.
I do. And I can't wait to show her these pictures. I never thought this was going to be
I don't need to see it, but I need to know it's clear.
Yeah, I want to know that there's nothing jigging inside of me. And when it is, I got to go. But like, there's I don't know, there's just like for me, it's like empowerment to know what is going on with me physically, because it's going to affect.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's going to affect how I come off mentally, emotionally, and all those things, right? It's going to affect like how I feel in my body, and then what happens in all the things that I do, whether that's in my family, relationships, work, social life, like hobbies. It's going to affect the output. And I don't know. I want to live as long as possible.
Hello.
Until I have to go home. But like, just keep me healthy. Keep me healthy, keep me wealthy, fed, spiritually and emotionally, and all the things.
Amen.
Like,
I love that.
I want to feel good with who I am and like in my body. And so it's so important, to get checked out and to like find the proper doctors. I think sometimes people don't have the people that they feel comfortable with. And to be honest, my first doctor I had, she diagnosed me with PCOS. And I ran with that for years because I thought that's what it was. She just told me to lose weight. And then,
girl, they love to smack on, just lose some weight.
She didn't
all clear up
anything else, like any other information. And it really like scared me.
Maybe I can't lose the weight.
Yeah, maybe I can't lose weight. And why? Do you know what I mean? And PCOS, I was told, excuse me, it's the matcha. And I was told by my doctor, it's just a combination of symptoms. And so as it's a disorder, it doesn't necessarily mean that maybe you match all the symptoms, right? You may match like one or two, but you have to kind of match all of them in order for it to really be considered as a diagnosis for you. And so for me, I had no idea, but that's just what I thought. So I really did get into like working out, and I was eating well, and I did lose weight. But then I learned that I didn't have it. And then it was kind of unclear whether or not the PCOS cleared itself or I never had it. So I'm like, was this a misdiagnosis? And then I found out I have fibroids. And then that was the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like, that was actually what it was. So now I'm kind of like, damn, bitch, did you have me fucked up from the beginning and, like, never cleared me up?
Girl, I'm literally cramping talking about this. My body said, oh, no, you're talking about us.
Your body's like, oh.
Girl, I hear my name in the conversation.
Welcome.
I'm like, girl.
She also told me, anyway, this is maybe a lot of information.
No,
but she also told me that there was some endometriosis. And she took that out, too. And I had no idea. I don't know much about that. I know one of my best friends struggled with it. But the fact that so what'd you take out? She said it was looking like powder burst and like a little darkness. And
powder burst?
That's what she like, it looks like little specks. I was like, that is the weirdest thing. But yeah, I didn't know I had
that. The body is so complex.
And it wasn't until she went inside to where she could even see that. And that's so crazy because I'm a person who, honestly, I have normal monthly, you know. So I was like, what?
Yeah, you said you really don't get cramps like that. People love to put cramps into like a symptom.
Right, and I really don't experience them. So I'm probably a person who was experiencing like invisible symptoms and stuff. And so other than I know that I've always been insecure about like my stomach area, but then my doctor cleared that up a little bit more. She said, yes, partially your fibroids, which I have noticed like a little difference. I'm like, it feels a little lighter. It went down a little bit. I was like, okay, cool. So I'm just going to pay attention to diet. But then also she mentioned insulin resistance.
Yes, so that's like, what I've been saying.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like
that's why you can't lose the weight though. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that's tied to your cortisol.
Which I'm like, just kind of interested. So that's going to be probably my next phase of like wellness.
They have a whole diet practice for that.
Right. And discipline.
I know. That's why I said it's going to resolve everything, because I literally have
bring it all back together.
I have all the information. It's applying it, which is overwhelming. Girl, I'm literally looking at this little corner of watered down chai, and I said, do I sip it?
I had to. It's gone now. Switching to water. I need it, though. Supposed to be staying really hydrated after all of the things.
With that caffeine. Yeah. Natural caffeine.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's all good
information. I love that.
I know. I was like, I feel empowered. I feel like I have information. So, yeah, guys, just, like, get into it. Figure out who, through your insurance, you know what I mean, you'd be able to see. Make sure you feel connected. I think sometimes we just go to anybody, but that's really not okay. You want to go to someone who you feel seen by. It doesn't necessarily mean they have to be a Black doctor, but it can just be someone.
Sometimes,
hey, not all skin folk.
Yeah.
And that's,
our skin
you know
folk,
what I mean?
Because I know I've cried.
For now. I enjoy mine, though. I was very grateful for her, and she had good reviews, though. You need to check her out. She had really great...
Mine just closed. Oh. I had an Egyptian lady. I really liked her.
Oh,
but there was a Black lady who was, like, the main doctor, and she would, like, point out every flaw, make me cry. I was like, oh,
I think you would like mine. She's, like, not, like, overly...
Is she close?
I mean, I'm not going to share the location. But, like, it's not far. And she wasn't, like, overly bubbly or anything like that. She was really straight to the point, cool, down-to-earth lady. Yeah, she's not, like, trying to be your bestie, but she's like, no, listen.
Give me the info. Yeah.
Gives me the tea and also throws a little shade in a funny way. Like, she definitely made jokes with me when I was asking her some questions. But, like, you know, she's like, I'm going to keep it. I kept calling. I'm, like, probably the most annoying patient. I feel a little tension in my tummy, please. I was like,
what does that mean?
I was like, and also, when can I swim? And also, it's summertime. Can I do yoga again? Like, I was calling, like, every couple days. Crazy. She got on the phone the last time. She said, Cindy, you're good. She said, in fact, be free. She said, it was just Juneteenth. She was like, take that and be free. She's like, look at us. I said, look at us. I said, thank you, ma'am. So, like,
I live for her.
She was cool. She got me together. I said, okay. That was my time to just...
in fact, be free. It was
she said, be free. Yes, she's like, be mindful, but be free, baby. So I want someone who can, like, I think you would like her. That's what I'm saying. I want someone who can, like, pour into us that way, be honest, be real. And it does take some time, just like finding a therapist, right? All of it kind of is like, who's going to be in your wellness, you know, practitioner corner, who's going to be helping you kind of in your health and wellness journey. Like, it takes time to figure out who works best for you. I wouldn't just say go to the first person. I did at first, and it showed me that wasn't the right way. But it's a redirection, right? It's not just the answer.
Don't settle. Girl, you talking about that just means, wow, I settle in a lot of ways. I need to stop that.
But, like, I've settled as well. You know what I mean? And I think that's a good thing to kind of talk about when we're talking about, like, the self-hate, even though we don't necessarily feel that. But I think subconsciously sometimes, right?
It is a form.
It is a form of
hating
self-hate.
yourself, to not give yourself the best.
Yeah, not give yourself the best.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know, we deserve that, right? To really be able to meet the woman that we're becoming, to meet the people that we're becoming, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you deserve to not settle. You deserve to experience all the good things in life. And I think that's where we start to block ourselves, right?
Yes. Come on, message. Come through.
The message is coming through today.
I mean, the message is here, baby. I hope you're putting it in your notes.
Yeah. Take notes, guys.
Come on.
Share with us in the comments, like, what maybe from our podcast eventually, like,
this was a good one, guys. This is excited. We're just getting started.
I know. Sorry, I definitely had to get my screams
had to let that one through.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was from the ancestors.
Juneteenth, baby.
I'm feeling all the vibes. It just continues. Juneteenth was also my support group's birthday, so I'm fully on one.
Gosh,
yeah, we turned 4.
That. Was that intentional?
Low-key, yeah. I mean, it kind of aligned that way, but then we were like, oh, literally, I think we might have started like the day before. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we met 4 years. And so I'm like, I'm feeling all of the energy as
I love it.
A Black person, especially in Texas, but also being an African American, literally that.
I live.
Beautiful.
I live. What a great start.
What a great start. Oh, she's happy. Are you at a 9 now?
Girl might be at a 10.
Girl, that girl is kicking her feet up.
Maybe,
that's what I like
because it was very much. Girl, I was in the couch cushions. I was below.
Yeah, and I think this is a part of the high vibrational, right? Doing something that we like and love. Like,
yes, honey.
I'm grateful that we started this platform because I feel like it is something cool to look forward to and, like, creative. We get to kind of practice what we, you know, want to preach and experience, and sometimes we don't really always get the chance.
Okay.
We're knowledgeable than we think, aren't we?
Knowledge is power.
Experts.
Yeah.
All right. Ooh. Well, since we're just talking, we have talking points.
We do.
But I guess, should we talk?
Can we talk for a minute? Which part?
I don't know. I'm thinking about the friendships. I'm thinking about the relationships.
Okay. I think that ties in perfectly to the little point that we heard from Auntie Ya.
Auntie Ya.
Yeah.
I gotta open that up again. It was just too good. I want to keep referencing
she said,
this.
Let me be reminded.
I forgot. Just kidding. A little refresh never hurt nobody.
Because, I mean, the self-hate can be formed with the people that you surround yourself with.
Damn, self-hate is a vicious cycle that leads to self-destruction. Yeah. We gotta know that we are appreciated and welcomed for simply being who we are. I really love that. And I really love the part about you miss the value and worth of every experience if you just kind of like limit yourself because you don't feel good about who you are or what you do.
Gross. I could shed a tear.
Yeah, that one. And you know, I didn't read it all the way when I was like preparing to read it because I kind of wanted us both to be in this big shocked.
Yeah. Stunned.
But like, yeah, it's true. It's true.
That ties in perfectly, baby. Let's talk about these friendships and relationships, baby.
Get into it.
All right. So I'm gonna read the question that Cindy posted, and then we'll kind of just like build off of that. How do you find yourself?
Posted that.
You did that. Wait, did I do that?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, are you on the level of friendship?
Oh, no, I was on how do you find yourself building intimacy in your relationships, friends, romantic communities. I feel like, I guess it all goes together. Should we go over the stages first?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's pull him up. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Mr. Erik Erickson. I'm sure you all have had a little Psych 101. And he is a psychologist who like basically specialized in child psychoanalyst. And so he focused on the stages. So stage 1 is trust versus mistrust. That's birth to 12 to 18 months old. Stage 2 is autonomy versus shame and doubt, which is 18 months to 3 years old. Then the next stage is stage 3, which is initiative versus guilt, which is 3 to 5 years old. Stage 4 is industry versus inferiority, which is 5 to 12 years old. Stage 5 is identity versus confusion, which is 12 to 18 years old. And then stage 6, which is what we're going to really focus on, is intimacy versus isolation. That's 18 to 40 years old. So think about how many different like decades and seasons you go through from 18 years old to 40 years old.
And how many different versions of yourself you meet throughout that time.
Yes. And then stage 7 is generativity versus stagnation. So 40 to 65 years old. And then stage 8 is integrity versus despair, which is over 65 years old. It's very interesting. I remember learning this was like one of my favorite things, not only in like Psych 101, but we covered it in like grad school. And it just like matches up. It lines up and it's like, wow, this makes sense. Like,
yeah. It was like one of the first, I remember when I was like working on like writing and stuff like that. And I spent a lot of time on this specific like intimacy versus isolation because I was like, something about this is just so like fitting, and I feel like it just brought on like a level of awareness that I didn't have because I was like, dang, why do I feel so confused in this state and also so like out of control, I guess. But that's really where we start to try to form that closeness and connections with others. Yeah, and really, it's not just romantic, right? It's friendship-wise,
relationships,
family
in general.
relationships, like. We're trying to really understand what does intimacy truly mean, and what level are you willing to go, or what blocks you from being able to be intimate with those around you.
Yes. So I like the quote that they put in here is like, people with a strong sense of identity are now ready to share their lives with others. And that can be like a very frustrating stage to be in because you might be at that level, but the people around you aren't. And so then you feel like unsatisfied or lonely in that way. It's like, I have people around me, but they're not where I'm at. And so you could either settle, keyword, and just be like, okay, I'm going to be around these people that are maybe not as fulfilling as they need to be. Or you're like, I'm going to isolate, like nobody's where I need them to be and I'm not going to really have any relationship. Like there's different ways that you can go. But I think that like that's really difficult. And I think as therapists, I just know, like, for me and you, I think we have a very strong sense of identity. And we've both kind of talked about, like, loneliness in a way. Like, we have people around us, but, like, there's still something that's, like, missing. And so, like, this is very, like, spot on and difficult because it's, like, you're ready to have, like, those people to be, like, on the same page with, but, like, maybe they're not.
Yeah, and it doesn't, I think on one end, too, it doesn't necessarily mean that these people that are around you that maybe are not on the same page or path as you are bad people.
No, not at all.
But maybe they're just not your final form of people that are supposed to be around you.
I like that, final form.
Yeah, / we still have flexibility for growth, right? Everybody grows at different, levels and things like that. Different pace. So it doesn't necessarily mean cut out those around you who you feel like maybe aren't where you're at. But I can see how it can get confusing, right? And isolating in the process of not knowing, like, okay, who's really for me in this moment? I remember maybe my first time where I really, truly experienced, okay, there's a shift happening. And I spoke about it a little bit in one of our, earlier podcasts, but like grad school was a shift. And then another shift was going from high school to college. And so, like, I lost a lot of friends in high school and college transition that maybe some people didn't go the same path as me, which was fine. But I think maybe some people thought that I forgot about them or whatever. But to be honest, like, it was never like that for me. It was just like I was also experiencing my own isolation, right? Trying to understand myself, trying to fit into a new space, trying to see who are the friendships that I'm going to have. And I was literally 17 years old when I went to college. So it was like 17 to 18, right at the beginning of the intimacy versus isolation stage. So you can see that shift happening when people are leaving like one space, one environment, starting a completely new one. And then like you're kind of just getting thrown in there. You don't even realize at that time I had no idea.
Prepared.
I didn't know I was about to be in a new stage. Like I knew I was about to be in a new stage of life, but I didn't understand this stage, right? Erik Erickson's stages that he was talking about. I had no awareness about that. So, like, coming back years later and recognizing, like, oh, these are the stages I've been in, and it doesn't just start and stop at 18. It's a thing that can happen from 18 to 40.
Yeah.
So, like, people always talk about, and this is going to be a little funny, but, like, men and things like that, when are they going to grow up? Like, I'm dating a 32-year-old, and he's still acting XYZ. Well, low-key, he's in this stage, right? He or she
There's
or they.
awakening sometimes.
Everyone is experiencing their own awakenings, and even though people should mature in different ways, like, they may not have gotten there yet because they're still experiencing or whatever they need to learn during this stage because we're all in it until damn near 40. So, like, it's so interesting to me and validating at the same time.
So validating. I feel like when I was going from 29 to 30 and I was, like, shedding all these old things,
it's so crazy.
I was like, oh, my gosh. It was a rebirth, and my therapist described it as Saturn's return. She's like, "You're right." Yeah, and she's like, "You're right on track for that." And that, I was like, that's like what led me to go to therapy because I was like, there's so many things changing. I was like I said, moving out of a job that wasn't fulfilling anymore. I didn't feel supported, and then a relationship I didn't feel supported, and I felt very lonely. And depressed. And I was like, who do I run to? Like, who do I go to? Like, what do I do? And girl, I don't even know where I'm going. Like, I just,
like in what direction?
Like, it just was crazy. And so, then like things progressed and got better, right? But then here I am, 30 to 31. I feel like it restarted. I was like, I found some things along the way, but still not quite there. So it's like continuous. And that's also like kind of discouraging too, because it's like you feel like you got it, and then it's like, and maybe that serves you for a little bit of time, and then boop, another reset.
Yeah, and that's why I think even going back to like Ayanla's quote in there, and I don't necessarily remember, but it was like the appreciation, right? Of like even like where you're at and where you're becoming. Like, and that's really hard to tap into sometimes when you're being having these moments. But it is practicing presence, right? Because if we don't, then we get stuck in the same cycle of like beating ourselves up or being pissed that we're not exactly where we want to be. And so like, yeah, I'm currently in my Saturn return. It started when I was probably 27. So probably, I don't know if it's going to complete at 30, but I assume, I think that piece,
I feel like
I think it goes into something else, right? So I think like 27, I kind of start to experience it. 28, 29, I've been truly embodying it and feeling it and low-key doing the work. and I'm proud of myself for that because I'm like, I knew something was afoot, and I don't really have time.
Yeah, you feel it.
Yeah, I felt it, and I think because I kind of armed myself differently, I was like, and I want to do all these things, right, to make myself feel satisfied. It hasn't all worked, but it's been progress.
You tried,
right?
yeah.
I've been trying, and I think even knowing that has made me feel like, okay, even if it doesn't feel like the 100% right track, it's a track, and it's taking me somewhere. So it's really interesting. So they said on this, so the psychosocial challenge, right, during this stage is to build long-term loving relationships that feel safe. So when people complete this stage successfully, they come away with safe relationships filled with commitment and love. But people who don't manage to complete the previous stage successfully and don't really have a strong sense of identity, which goes back to identity versus confusion, they're the ones who are generally unable to build committed relationships. According to this theory.
And that's who I get into relationships with, baby. Please clock my tea, baby.
And that's so interesting, right? Because it's like, okay, we want to make sure whoever we're also merging pursuing in our friendships, in our romantic relationships, and those in our community and social support are people who are also taking those necessary steps, right? To be able to grow, to build, to understand themselves. So that's kind of, I think, where the settling happens, right? Not necessarily that someone can't grow at their own pace.
All day today.
Not necessarily that someone can't grow in their own pace, but like where it's not, I'm sorry to say, guys, even though we're doing a community of support, I don't think it's our job to then make someone else join our pace. Like, I can't carry anyone else.
And they're not going to be able to maintain it because it's not the pace they're meant to be at.
Right. And it's not a choice.
You're kind of like making. Forcing. Yeah. Forcing and coercing.
Forcing and coercing. And also the fact that like people have to like really make that choice for themselves.
Voluntarily. It don't matter how much water, baby.
It really doesn't.
They're not going to drink it.
They're not going to drink it. You can't lead them there.
Baby, the clock. Baby, clock me, baby. I'm clocked, baby.
She's clocked.
Father time.
I mean, I feel like, yeah, we're all clocked in different ways. But I really do like the conversation of this because I think just bringing awareness, like this is the time where you start to kind of evaluate those that you have around you. Are you in spaces that give you a sense of light, hope, ease? Or are you in spaces that like you recognize are like draining your energy?
Depleted, baby.
Keeping you down, keeping you even low-key isolating you, right? Because the point is to find intimacy in our relationships.
Yes.
Not to still feel isolated when you're with somebody or some people.
Yeah,
in those relationships.
Around a bunch of people, yeah,
that's like the worst.
Intimacy.
Yeah.
That's so funny because this past week I did a lot in my sessions, like a little, it was like a power plant analogy, but like what's charging you and what's depleting you and like creating like a little list of that. And it's, you know, tying into what we're talking about today.
Did you make your own?
In my head.
Okay, I think
not pen to paper.
I'm
going
to give us homework because I feel
like not the therapeutic assignment.
Yeah, this is actually
Get
crazy.
Into the game.
Too fun. I want us both to do it because
girl, I'll send you the worksheet.
Yeah, like let's do it together and like let's look over our results and stuff because I do feel like this is the time where. Especially summer solstice just happened, so we're in a new season. Like, I think it's just time to take inventory, right, of yourself.
That's
and
exactly what it was. Self-care inventory.
Self-care inventory. And it's like, okay, we're telling people to do that, but we got to do it ourselves because then, like, we're not aware of what's, like, draining us in this moment. And it could be this very thing, right, that we're, like, asking others to do. Like, this shit.
Projection?
Like, a projection? Like, there was a reason you looked that up. You know what
right.
I mean?
I said, who's it speaking to?
You're like, let me give this to my client.
You or both of us.
Like, let me give this to my client. Let them do it. But, like, low-key, I've been loving the assignments. I'm like, let me just look into that. And I guess that's what drew me today. I was like, let me pick up this axe of faith.
Yes. Let's use some of these resources and tools.
Yeah, let's use the resources and tools and kind of see, like, what comes up for us, which I appreciate. Yeah, interesting. I would like to do that. I also saw this guy on TikTok. He was doing like a bubble chart basically of all the things he had in his brain. Basically, it was a lot. Which I don't think I would do it that way, but he's just, I guess, things he needed to dump. And he needed to dump in a way that felt productive. So he started with himself in the middle and then just kind of like drew out stems for like the different parts of him that he felt like needed to be kind of seen in that moment, which I don't know if I would go in that way, but I appreciated the pen on paper. And my therapist has been telling me to journal, like all throughout this experience that I've been having.
Yes, we talked about that.
But I didn't. So like I journaled like maybe once, and then I journaled again. I did journal twice. I journaled again when I was going for my walk in that little garden area. And that was probably the best because I was like, okay, I finally feel like I can think about myself. I think the first few weeks were pain. The next week was just like trying to get into some type of routine. And the next week was like, okay, you're on your own, you know, trying to adjust back into that. And now I'm like, okay, now think about yourself. You know what I mean? Like, think about really what's going on for you now. You just did a big thing. Like, so I think we need to practice putting some stuff on paper and like
I agree.
Saying it out loud.
I agree. I love that.
Yeah. Because when it just sticks in our head, it sticks in our head. And like, it's easy for things to flow in
things
and
get
out.
lost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, me and my sister were just talking about that yesterday. All these memories that are in our head or thoughts, or we were talking about music specifically that like we just can't recall because just like there's too much. Please, don't play that right.
I don't know why. That's been in my head. That's been in my head.
We were singing that yesterday too. Why are you in like, girl? Are you just floating in the air like spirit? Out of body experience.
I told you I was a ghost. What is that little smiley jello ghost looking girl? I said it. I want us to enter clip right here. I was like, I literally said that like sometimes I'll be feeling like
it's giving Behind Her Eyes on Netflix.
I've never seen that before.
Ooh, get into it.
Always got some good
It came out
things.
a while ago. It's really juicy.
Okay. Yeah, I need to have
Watch it. It's a little ooky spooky, but not scary.
I don't mind an ooky spooky.
Okay, you'd love it. Get into it, girl.
I hate gore.
No gore.
Okay.
And the man's hot and the lady's stunning. So
you love a baddie group. Okay, yeah. Back to the music though. Like y'all were talking about
so around this time when this airs, this probably already passed, but you know how JT, Justin Timberlake, just got a little
I was looking at that
DWI. And so we were driving to our family reunion and I was playing the 2020 Experience, which is one of his albums, which is a bibbity bop. Right. And I was like, I'm gonna support him. And we were just like talking about how good it was, and then just like all this music that we used to jam to that we probably can't even remember, that were like on our old laptops that have crashed, or like on our old iPods that don't work anymore. And it's like, dang, will we ever get those memories again?
Yeah, like
will we ever jam again?
Will we ever jam again? Dang. Do you remember when I was telling you about this thing called Jamboard?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're discontinuing it as a service. Just side note. Okay, Google. I was like, okay.
I do remember.
They're like, you have one jam. Save it now. I was like, all right.
We used it.
Oh, maybe I have two jams because the way they're
we used it when we were trying to figure out like what our photo shoot and theme would be.
We will have another photo shoot too that we have to plan for. So fall is gonna be fun.
Fall's gonna be fun. And I love the fall.
That's actually my favorite season.
I used to say summer, then I moved here. So yeah, fall.
Oof.
It's hot.
Yeah, it's hot as hell. Fall here is still hot though, but it's like
it is,
cool
but it's like manageable.
Warm winds.
Yeah,
I like.
There's a wind.
Wind.
I need wind. It's a little too dry over here.
A little too dry, a little too much, but yeah.
I literally can't put grease in my hair; it will melt out.
Good to know.
I have to keep a towel in my purse. My little chubby is just like
sliding down your neck.
Just everybody's like, what, "Are you okay?" A little hot oil treatment.
Oh, yeah, like trapped already. You don't even need the shower cap. It's just right there. Oh, damn, y'all. Our time has gone by so fast today.
Oh my gosh, stop. We have time.
I'm loving how Erickson kind of talked about the word intimacy.
Yes.
And so, like, I feel like, what is your first thought when you think of intimacy? Like, if you weren't a therapist?
So I always think about to my, like, HDFS class, the one where I wanted to be an LMFT, and he said, intimacy is into me, you see.
I love it.
And that always stuck to me.
I've never heard that before.
I just thought that was so cute. It stuck with me ever since I was an itty bitty baby.
That's cool. Oh my God. Into me, you see. So I feel like I love that kind of like explanation, or just like, a little highlight. I will never forget that. But for some people, I feel like when they think of like intimacy, they think of sex.
And it's like, no.
But we're also in a sexualized society. So everyone kind of goes straight to that first.
It frustrates me.
It is frustrating. And it can be really hard for those trying to develop close relationships, because when someone uses the word intimacy, they may first think of like physical intimacy. But it's much, much more than that. And Erickson really describes, intimate relationships as those characterized by closeness, honesty, and love. And I really, really kind of just like tapping into that, right? Because those are 3 things that can be found in all of our relationships.
Yeah.
Not just the sexual ones. And so I'm here for that. And I feel like while romantic and sexual relationships are also important, intimacy is more about just having close, loving relationships with your partners, your friends, family. And it really is all about forming healthy relationships, right? In your circle. Acquaintances, friends, and others. But isolation is kind of marked by a lack of social connection, poor, unhealthy relationships, and a general lack of social support. And I'd also say a general lack of boundaries, right? That kind of can prompt up some of those isolations.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. So
I love that.
I love that too, which is why I was like, I want us to talk a little bit more about like what does true intimacy look like, and then what does it kind of look like when you experience it, and what does it look like when maybe you don't, right? When you're kind of leaning more into that isolation space. So some of the benefits of intimacy are people who are successful in resolving conflict, and of the intimacy versus isolation stage. Okay, so if you're able to experience true intimacy, so that looks like close romantic relationships, deep, meaningful connections, enduring connections with other people, positive relationships with family and friends, and strong relationships. And so you're able to kind of like create those fulfilling relationships with people, and also identify people who are supportive, important, and build those social networks that are important for both your physical and mental health. And so shout out to Very Well Mind. Thank you for those resources.
Yes.
But it's interesting enough that like I feel like I've also been dating people, or I have dated people that maybe like first glance they're like, oh, she doesn't want to be intimate. She doesn't want to know me deeper. But it's not that. It's like it has to be built, right? And kind of going back into like me and Candress talking about like the seasons of life we're in, I low-key feel like I'm kind of going back to kind of like figure out more of my identity, my wants and my needs right now, so that I can build those close and intimate relationships and feel secure in them. I'm not going to have that with someone just right off the bat. And that's, based off of like trauma, And so that's kind of where we isolate, right? Based on our past experiences that we've had.
Yeah.
And that can also affect our ability to be intimate with people.
I agree. I like that you brought up the boundaries. So for like me, I'm opposite. I am... in a relationship, this is friendship. Well, not even friendships. I'm different in relationships than I am with friendships when it goes to like trusting, because I want my person so bad. But this is also trauma too. But I like. So for me, intimacy is being seen. Like, I just want to be seen. And that's also like wanting people to love me the way I love them.
Reciprocal.
Ayanla says you can't tell people how to love you. You can just see how they do it and choose to stay or leave.
Okay, interesting.
Auntie Yaya.
Okay. I feel like... do I have a rebuttal? I feel like, yes, you just have to kind of see. But some people never really... were taught
how to love. I agree.
And in certain relationships where they may feel safe, seen, and also like they're getting that energy from you, that's where they can kind of learn. So I think that's the part that I'm not saying that's for everybody.
No, I'm saying that was my whole last relationship.
Yeah, but I think it should be only with a person who's safe, right? That you deem as safe and healthy. You can't do that with everybody.
But that also goes back to the boundaries. Like, you can't be saying everybody's safe and healthy just because you want somebody so bad.
Yeah, and you can't be teaching someone how to love you who's not willing to also put in the work to learn themselves. Learn how to love themselves.
And don't love
others.
Themselves,
Going back to the self-hate thing, right? And for them, self-hate may be a form of protection or just what they've known. So, yeah, it's kind of like a two-way street. So it's like, I do understand where she's coming from with that. But as a person who maybe didn't necessarily get demonstrated, right, how to love in maybe certain relationships, more like romantic for me, like I was just kind of like, not that I don't know, but maybe I don't know how to do it in this one way. I've had people who were like, I don't want to be the teacher for you. But I do think I was worth it. Yeah, I know, shocking.
Oh my gosh.
But like, that's real life. That's what I'm saying. There are certain relationships that you have to where it's like, you have to recognize, is this person a healthy person, to where like you can grow together and learn that? And are they willing to also kind of figure out, you know, ways to love you on their own, friendship-wise and romantic? But there are some people, right, based off of their own experiences, their own inability to be emotionally and physically and mentally intimate with you, they'll close themselves off. You won't be the person they want to share that with or teach or go along the journey with. So it's interesting. It's like a two-way street. But yeah, I was literally told that I don't want to teach you.
That's crazy. Disgusting.
It was heartbreaking, you know?
Oh my gosh.
I'm fine.
Evil.
Trust.
She said, I'm fine. Yeah.
But like, you know,
bounce back, baby.
It's some things that helped me learn, like, what does real intimacy mean for me? And am I searching it from the wrong people?
Yeah, for me, I'm always trying to teach it. And I need to stop projecting. Yeah. And that's really where I'm at now. It's like, I just got to find people who are like teaching me what love is from their perspective. Because everybody that I've dated, they've had some type of trauma, which I mean, all of us, but like they don't believe in love, or they, you know, I dated a guy for 7 years on and off, and he was like, you know, I'm more invested in loyalty than love.
That's really weird.
And then my
loyalty doesn't necessarily equate to love.
It doesn't, but he was saying he'd rather have somebody be loyal than be in love. Like, that's not a priority for him. And I believe in love, you know, but also I had examples of love growing up. Like, my parents have been married for over 40 years. They'll be 43 years in a long time. August. And so I seen like people be in love and do for each other, and I've had people tell me your standards are too high, and you're never gonna get that. Oh, not and I internalized like I knew what they were doing, but then I still carried that, and I still internalized that too, even though I knew like it was like me wanting them or them wanting me to lower my standards so that they could at least have a chance, or like discourage me so that I wouldn't leave that situation. And I knew they were doing that, but still you internalize that. Yeah. And so I'm like, I don't want to do that. And so, like, if that means I'm going to be alone, baby, because I want to be fulfilled. I want a meaningful connection.
And you deserve that. And that's, you know, where intimacy is really built, right? With people who want to give you reciprocal energy that is also validated, healthy, supportive. And
they have the ability to do that.
And they have the ability.
Because not everybody has the ability.
And we can't ask everybody to have the ability. And that's why during this stage, right, the intimacy versus isolation, some people choose to isolate when they feel like they haven't found the people that they can actually be intimate with. Me. And I'm not going to say, I've experienced it too. I'd be isolating whenever I'm really going through it.
A blur.
But we do have to find a healthy balance.
We do, baby. We're really learning, we're thriving, we're healing.
Yeah. So on the term of isolation, it can happen for a number of reasons. So
let's get into that,
yeah,
baby.
So isolation, factors that could increase your risk of becoming lonely or isolated, those include childhood experiences, including neglect or abuse, divorce or death of a partner, fear of commitment, fear of intimacy, inability to open up, past relationships, troubles with self-disclosure, and obviously more, right? And these are the things that can lead to feelings of loneliness and even depression. I would probably add maybe even like, when we're talking about like divorce or death of a partner, I would also say friend, family member. Yeah. Those type of things. Because you're grieving, right? So like it's a struggle for you to feel like you can be intimate with these people and then them not leave. So that's where like the attachment wounds and things like that happen.
Kind of abandonment too.
Abandonment issues as well that stem from all of these different things. Yes. We're talking about abuse, like that's real, and I feel like we don't talk about it enough. Like
even emotional abuse. It doesn't have to be just physical. And abuse also can show up in ways like maybe people are not able to hold that space for you, or they don't have the emotional intelligence or awareness to be that stability for you. And so then you internalize that, or then that, messes with your attachment style. It doesn't have to be like, oh, they were mean to you or talked down to you. They just were not able to be present for you or provide you that support because they didn't have that, or they didn't know that or learn that. So I think people kind of put abuse into a box and they make it very extreme, but it shows up in multiple ways and it has a long-term effects. It's very impactful.
Yeah, it's very impactful. And I think even down to that, right, abuse can happen in your friendships as well. Yeah, to where like people... Yeah, talk down on you, bully you, all those type of things. So now,
knock you down. And competition. A lot of people are competitive.
Lowering your self-esteem. And when you're kind of coming out of that stage, right, where you're building your identity in that like 18-year-old stage, and then you're coming into the intimacy versus isolation, if you've experienced some of those things, right, it's going to be really, really hard for you in that next stage, that 18 to 40 stage, because it's like, if someone was fucking with your self-esteem and stuff like that, now your identity maybe couldn't get fully developed or formed. And so you're going into this next stage of life where you don't feel completely like you know yourself, you know your worth. So you're kind of dealing with being in between stages.
Yes, where you're limbo.
In limbo, which I believe you can be in more than one stage kind of at the same time, right?
I agree. It's kind of like the stages of grief, they're not necessarily in order sometimes, and sometimes you can be in multiple at once.
Yeah, you can be both dialectics.
Dialectics and yes.
So
that is so real. I can relate to that. I know for me in college, when I had to get a restraining order against the girl that was my friend, that threw me off completely. And just the way people acted and how like, basically, I was the victim, but everybody was like, well, she's not well. So she relies on you. So you need to basically like be the bigger person and look past it. And that threw me off. And I isolated literally when I graduated from college. I moved to Nashville. And then like I broke up with my college boyfriend. And he was being messy too. And so I was like, oh my gosh, I don't trust anyone. Like I was thrown. It threw me off completely at all. And I would not make any new connections in Nashville. It was kind of like me running away. Yeah. Didn't go on any dates. Didn't really want to hang out with anybody. I only saw my coworkers and I came home. Was not sleeping. I lost a bunch of weight because I was just spending my time going to the gym.
Okay. Which then became like your crutch unhealthy. A little bit.
Yeah. It was the only way that I could kind of like I couldn't really work through my emotions because I was so confused. So I was just like, this is my outlet. But it threw me off because I trusted those people. And those were my support systems. Even though they didn't earn that spot to be my support systems. But like college was very difficult for me. And so those were kind of like the first relationships I had. And so I held on to those. And I just was so thrown off that somebody that I had been nothing but kind to would switch up on me to the point where I had to get a restraining order.
Yeah, that's a lot, especially at a young age and like even having to...
I didn't even want to press charges. My mom was like, are you going to wait till she kills you? My mom had to tell me.
Oh my God. Now it's first 48. Like, that's so scary.
No, honestly.
Oh my God.
And I was like,
and that's like a rewiring.
And it was like during finals. I had to figure out like my finals schedule to like go to court. And then like people who are my friends who saw it happen, only one girl, and I'm still friends with her, hey May, she testified. Nobody else wanted to testify.
Right. And that's...
Even my roommate, who I live with.
Right. I mean, I think on one end, right, people are scary. On another end, y'all were really young. But on the other end, like, you should have spoke up. And that's what we're saying. We're talking about healthy and supportive.
And then hung out with her.
Yeah, that was wrong as hell. Now, that was wrong as hell. It sounds like they minimized it. And, like, that's...
They did, but, like, this lady choked me and hit my car. And would sit outside my house. And in the group chat, like, call me all types of things and say, I'm waiting for you. And then try to find my boyfriend at the time and say stuff to him.
Abuse. Yeah, like, this is abuse.
And a little bit of obsession.
Yeah. Somebody wants to probably be you so damn bad, but you're causing harm. So I can see how all of that...
threw me off.
Threw you off and then kind of made you have to self-isolate as a way to protect yourself, right?
And I don't really be friends with girls.
And that's like a whole other thing, right? As we talk about like friendship, community support... And I hate that because oh my God, like I would be so pissed. I would have so much rage. And I'm so sorry that happened.
It was more like sadness. I was like, because I'm a very trusting person, but also we talked about how I was kind of like in a sheltered environment.
Not anymore, I bet. Like, yeah.
I was thrown for a loop.
Yeah.
I was like, but I didn't do anything.
Oh, my God.
Thrown off. So then I was like, dang, this isolation, baby. When I tell you trauma threw me into being a therapist.
Yeah, you're like, I need to figure out the who, what, when, and why. I need to get down to the root of these things in order to be able to like support myself. But I hate
She's
that
healed.
Yeah.
She's healing. I am friends with girls. I'm friends with Cindy. And honestly, Family Gateway. Ooh. My old job.
Clear it out.
Honestly, my old job, that's where I had like a sense of sisterhood and like embraced being around women again. And then I came to our job and then I met you. And so like it's happening. I'm not isolating anymore, but there was a season, baby, in my 20s.
Shit.
No,
that's like a lot. And I don't know. I could come up with some, mine is not that level, but very much so bullying, very much so being like left out. And I think in friendships, right, like that is the one end where it was like, why are you laughing at me? Why are you laughing at me?
Because you were talking and when you're
I can't see what she sees. What happened to the girl? It went boing.
Blew up when you exhale like a cartoon.
Do I look like alfalfa or no?
No, it went back. It just
Honestly, guys, I don't know how you naturally do it. I got a freaking perm rod set, and I'm like, for my life.
I'm so sorry. Please go back to your story. It was very animated, and I just am a child. Okay.
Oh, I like singing laugh.
Oh my gosh. Literally from the spirit, from the ancestors. Go ahead. Belly laugh.
Sorry, I just needed that. That was funny as hell, though. Because I can't see it on my end. So I'm like, what happened? You naturally
bullying.
I just can't.
Left out.
Yeah, bullying. Left out. Are we on Reading Rainbow? Like, Between the Lions. Let me teach you the story.
Oh, Between the Lions.
I loved that. But yeah, no, I mean, like, yeah, I experienced bullying, being left out in college, like just moments from like particular people that I surrounded myself with that I still called friends because, like, you know, trying to fit in, trying to keep things copacetic. I really wasn't a confrontational person at that time either. I was very much, I've always kind of been like, girl, I got my own shit going on.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about what...
Can't be bothered.
Can't be bothered. I know that you're doing XYZ. I don't really give a damn. And nobody really got that. So I think that because I try to protect my energy in that way, there's a lot of people poking.
And sometimes they get offended, like they're not getting the reaction.
Uh-huh.
And I think you're better?
Yeah, you think you're better than me? Yeah, probably. But at the same time, like, that wasn't really the vibe. I'm low-key just doing me. And people hate that shit.
They hate it.
So I was...
so real.
It's real. But as I've gotten older, I have gotten a little bit more confrontational. And not in a way that... like... You're
disrupting the system.
Yeah, but the system needs to be disrupted sometimes because I'm not going to just sit here and wait for bullshit to happen and then be the tracks that you run over. And that's weird as hell. Yeah, I will always advocate for myself and others.
I love that.
I don't like to take any shit. And I think that's kind of me coming into my own power as a woman and finding my own authentic voice in spaces. And I worked really, really hard for that, especially during those isolation periods. That was probably when I journaled the most, where I was like really talking to myself, really trying to figure out what was going on. I couldn't afford to do certain activities and things, so I was just in that apartment.
I gotta find my healing.
I gotta figure it out. I was watching a lot of self-help things. I was listening to podcasts. I was really in that thing.
I love it.
I loved it too. And so I think both seasons can serve you, right? To kind of bring you to where you need to be. But to be honest, like, communal support, I'm here for it when it's reciprocated, and when it feels safe and secure, right? And so
I agree.
Yeah, you want to be able to build that support system that makes you feel well, because also loneliness and isolation can lead to like other negative health things like depression, substance misuse, stress, even suicide.
Yes.
You know, like lack of regulation in your nervous system, like all those type of things.
Girl.
Right.
I'm experiencing the effects.
You know what I mean? So it's like finding a balance, guys, is going to be really important when it comes to this stage of intimacy versus isolation. So for you single women, you single men, you single people, using this time to learn more about yourself, but also not being afraid to put yourself out there, right? To find the people that are reciprocated in the energy that you want and getting closer to that and doing the things that bring you closer to that. People who are looking for those friendships, the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And when you're kind of thinking about your family relationships, that's a little bit different because everybody, you can't, again, make them heal on your time.
No.
But it's no problem to kind of sprinkle it in on your own because we're, unfortunately, for a lot of us, we're the disruptors, right? Of what the systems, our family lineage, and all of those things have been. We're the ones who are working on...
trying to break the cycle, baby.
Yeah, we're cycle breakers. We're the ones who are looking to heal ourselves and heal... not even necessarily always heal others, depending on what you do, but really heal yourself, right? And then by a byproduct, hopefully heal your community or help your community heal themselves.
Or at least, like, create some type of acceptance or some type of peace or closure.
I don't believe in closure sometimes, but I guess like maybe your own sense of closure. I don't think I believe in closure because sometimes we're not gonna know. There's just certain things
but
like
even
you don't know.
Creating your own sense of closure.
I think it's acceptance.
Like on your own. Okay, so acceptance.
Yeah, I don't know. Closure, that word,
seems like two parties.
Two parties coming together and like opening up. But that other party could be lying.
Or never will take accountability.
Yeah, leading you back into that isolation, right? When you're trying to crave that intimacy, whether it's a family member, friendship, or romantic relationship. So that's why I don't necessarily know if closure is always a thing, but I what you said, acceptance. Yeah. So being able to find that acceptance, create that acceptance.
And like realizing where people are at. Because that's a lot of the damage we do to ourselves too, because we're projecting and we have this expectation that maybe is not meant for them or realistic for them. And we can't fix, right? That's how we get into these fixing little spells. Like, we just have to create acceptance and realize this is who this person is. And from that, maybe create some distance so that we're not impacted or discouraged.
Psychological safety and boundaries. Yes.
Boundaries, yeah. Just like being willing to understand, okay, this is what I control and this is what I can't. So how do I create some type of peace or acceptance around that?
And then even acceptance in the stage that you're in right now. So a big part of us bringing this to light is to bring awareness that it's very normal for us all to be in this intimacy.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who are like, wow, this makes sense.
Craving space. Yes. I mean, it made a lot of sense to me, right? It made me feel very validated. So finding acceptance in like exactly where you're at right now and recognizing like this is a normal stage of life and development and being able to, you know, find your own acceptance in isolation as well as intimacy and then find a balance, right?
I love that.
So,
wow, this is good material.
I know, guys. Take the resources. We're not just telling jokes out here.
This is the one, baby.
So we're gonna drop this with a couple of ways that we build our own. We build intimacy, you know, textbook, and then also kind of like thinking about how do we kind of do some of that. We have some questions, and so yeah, how do we do that for ourselves? So basically. So, being intimate. So this is more than just engaging in sex, y'all. I know we're talking about sex today, but it's not just that. It means forging emotional intimacy, closeness. It doesn't necessarily have to be with a sexual partner. You can gain intimacy from your friends, loved ones, and social support.
Yeah.
Also caring for others. So being able to care for the needs of others. Relationships are reciprocal. I don't know how many times we've said it today, but reciprocal. Reciprocated. Two-way street, not one-sided. So getting love is important. But so is giving it. You want to read the last two?
Making commitments. Part of being able to form strong relationships involves being able to commit to others for the long term. And then self-disclosure. This involves sharing parts of the self with others while still maintaining a strong sense of self-identity.
Right.
Let some people in.
Let some people in and find a balance. And know that some people have to earn it. I'm not saying they need to be like working to the bone to get you to share something, but also recognizing who's a safe person for you to be able to build that with.
Who deserves that access.
Yeah, who deserves that? And, you know, from there, kind of finding yourself to be, you know, committed to some people. I do struggle with, like, committing sometimes in, like, romantic relationships, but I'm working on it.
Really?
I just think that, like, I don't know, it feels so final. I don't know. Guys,
But I'm sure that has a lot to do with what you saw growing up.
It does. And just not wanting to be trapped in like a shitty situation down the line. And so that's my own thing I'm working on when it comes to like intimacy, childhood trauma, right? That was one of the things that can create some isolation. I like that little jingle. So, to kind of do a good little ending.
Yeah.
How do we find ourselves building intimacy in our own relationships? So, friends, maybe romantic, community, and social support. I know this is a hard question, so we can we can kind of think about one at a time.
Because I don't know if I am.
Okay, that's
or
real.
Maybe I'm doing it subconsciously, but I don't know if I'm consciously doing it.
I think that's facts, though, right?
I think my problem is not trying to build intimacy with everybody, baby.
Do you feel like you do that, though?
I'm talking about in relationships.
Romantic relationships.
With friends, baby, I can set boundaries, baby. Mm-hmm. Very clear. Friends, work, family. It's just these menses.
Okay.
And I don't want anybody to think she just... I make people there's a wall, but it's just once I get attached, girl, that's the fixing. I don't know.
People pleasing and fixing.
People pleasing, fixing, want to heal everybody, being an empath, all the things. Wham, 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 woo, woo, woo. But I'm not a nurse or a doctor or a surgeon. So
she is a therapist, though, and look at how things are playing out. I am a therapist,
but I'm not your therapist, babes.
Mm-hmm. But you have to recognize that for yourself because you're giving out a little bit of that energy.
I think I'm realizing that coming out of this whatever that I'm coming out of. Mm-hmm. So when I have my fresh start, I know what I want to do. I'm just falling into old patterns because it's an old relationship.
Yeah, and kind of finding your when we're in places. What is it? You can't get well in the same place that kept you sick.
And you can't expect healing from the people who hurt you.
Right. So going back to the boundaries, right? Maybe that's how we build. Maybe that is a part of how we're building intimacy in our relationships. Being honest enough with ourselves to build boundaries, right? Mm-hmm. And recognizing that not everybody really gets to earn that intimacy or can be afforded that intimacy that you get to build with someone. Mm-hmm. That's true.
I feel like it's a little test run. I'm able to navigate it, although this is obviously not the person I'm going to be with. I'm getting a little test run of what that would look like. And now I can use it with the person I'm supposed to be with. Wherever you are, whenever that happens. But yeah, this is a tough one. What about you?
So I feel like when it comes to maybe my community and social support, especially after this procedure, not allowing myself to just isolate in that moment. Even though I was kind of tired, I was like, oh my God, I am so appreciative of people coming to show up for me, allowing people to show up for me. That's different. I think being a Virgo, being a first daughter, a first gen daughter, and immigrant kid and all the things. Black woman,
so many
superhero
factors.
syndrome is real, right?
Oh my gosh, the toxic superhero. Yeah.
We're I'm used to showing up for everybody else, but what does it look like for when people are supposed to show up or can show up for me?
That's so real.
I really did feel disappointed a few times during this process, but then also allowing those who did show up for me to know how grateful I was. And I think from there, allowing myself to build intimacy with those in my community and friendships. And then even when it comes to relationships, I take my time. And some people may say that oh, she's not trying to be vulnerable or whatever, but I'm just cautious.
Yeah.
And so I think me being cautious sometimes, maybe it's too much. Maybe it's not. I think it's fine. I think it's just building intimacy along the way, right?
Who's willing to be patient for that?
I always
weeds
ask
out some
about
of the crazies.
Patience, because when you are a person who is affected by trauma, and it's not just the big stuff, right? It's the little stuff too.
Little T trauma.
Little T trauma is real, and so it can kind of force those walls to come up, make you feel a little bit more cautious. But on both ends, right, there has to be a sense of patience. You can't just learn someone overnight. And so I think for me being able to...
Why are we rushing and love bombing?
I don't need to do that. I don't want to feel that unless the love bomb includes gifts and
money. You gonna pay my bills?
That's a different type of love bomb. And hey, maybe I'll get with it for a little bit.
Cash or card.
Yeah. But I think when it comes to just meeting someone, you got to meet them where they're at, right?
Yeah.
And not everyone's going to be exactly where you're at.
Real.
Are you patient to be able to meet me there? Do you feel like this is a safe place to meet me? I'm starting to learn that.
I love that.
And yeah, just trying to practice that in my relationships, friendships, romantic, seeing who I feel like sticks. And yeah, I'm excited, I guess, what happens next with that when it comes to like me just kind of building intimacy and leaning into that and not being afraid of, what's on the other side of that.
I love that. Wow.
I love that too.
So much information.
Okay, last thing. How do you overcome isolation? So there's some things they said that we could do. Avoiding negative self-talk. I do think that's good.
Oh, yeah. I
do think that's good, especially when you're feeling isolated. Like, when you are isolating yourself, I think it's all about also what are you doing in that moment.
Yeah.
If you're like shit-talking yourself the entire time you're in isolation.
Listening to sad music, sitting in the dark, just feeding
the
negative.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're digging a really big hole, and it's going to be very challenging for you to come out. So I think when we think of isolation, like, it's always negative. Sometimes we just need to reset. Like an environment.
Especially if you're an introvert. Like, baby, that's where you recharge. But then when does it become recharging? Ruminating.
Yeah. So there's that one, right? And then building some skills. So like maybe I don't really like what they said, but like
I don't like that either.
I kind of feel like building skills as it relates to like your own set of skills, like things that make you happy, maybe even like
and how to navigate. I agree.
How to navigate what?
How to navigate like you experiencing these emotions, like having a little toolkit.
Self-care toolkit.
And have that prepared before you get into that state, ideally. But like, have a little list, maybe a little accepts skill from DBT. It's really supposed to be for like when you're having a distressing emotion, it's supposed to distract you until that distressing emotion passes, because they do pass. And so isolation can pass. So maybe using that to draw like a parallel, having a little something. So it's an acronym. Activities, contributing.
Googling. Isn't like Google's great.
There's a little aromatherapy in there somewhere. But you can make like a worksheet. Now, I mean,
so activities, contributing, comparisons, emotions, pushing away thoughts and sensations. So yeah, building a plan from something like that kind of falls into that. So like Candress is talking about coming up with maybe like a self-care toolkit or something that you can go back to, which relates to some of those things in the plan, right? So you mentioned like aromatherapy and stuff like that.
I really like having like an activity. And it kind of goes into like the thoughts one too. So like one that like really involves your brain. So I love playing Sudoku or like a little brain game, a little puzzle something.
Getting you out of your body, kind of into something else. I like that. I've been doing Scrabble.
And then when you accomplish it, you feel good. But I think opposite action is a really good skill to have too. Because I love to be in the house. But like if my sister knocks on the door or you text me to like do something, I'll go. Sometimes I just need to get out those four walls.
I have to kind of force myself out too. So for me lately, it's been like, I'm stuck to the bed. I'm really tired. But like, okay, get up and go for a walk. Even if it's in the evening. Like trying to get myself out. And then, oh, wow, I feel better. Like all of a sudden, the sunlight has touched my skin. Like I'm feeling alive again. Yeah, like all of a sudden, like things are happening. Things are changing. And
then like the stuff you consume. So like, I am dramatic. I love a sad soundtrack. And I will get into those emotions and make it a music video. But like maybe I need to listen to something a little more upbeat.
Yeah.
Nostalgic, something that makes my mood feel better. Opening my windows really has made an improvement. Opening them blinds. And then like the stuff I watch, like I said, I love something sad or scary. And I'm sure that's not really good for mind.
You got to evaluate your environment, right, and the situations that you're
ingesting.
In. Yeah, what are you needing, right, in this moment? Like, are you needing the ookie spooky? Or are you needing something a little bit more uplifting? Are you needing the music that, you know, kind of connects exactly to where you're at, or are you needing to manifest something a little differently that can kind of boost your mood?
Yeah.
Like, I think.
Am I putting myself in isolation, or am I pulling myself out? Which one am I doing?
And
which direction am I going?
Can I practice opposite action in this moment in order to increase my own self-awareness?
I think mindfulness is like big too. Just like being mindful, like
throughout all of this.
What is your goal? There should be an end goal. The self-isolation should not be the end goal. Yeah. We're pushing past it.
Yeah, and trying to build our own relationship with ourselves, right? And be able to understand, like, what do we need? And even down to our relationships, right? So, like, evaluating the situation as it relates to being able to combat a sense of, like, isolation. What type of relationship are you seeking?
Yeah.
What are you looking for in a partner, right? What are you looking for in friendships? I definitely think all of that's important. Because,
I agree.
You want to be able to really be able to clearly picture certain things about yourself. I think we got to practice that. I know I got to practice that in my life right now, kind of going back to what we talked about earlier, like the feeling of being lost, right? Sometimes that comes because we haven't decided when to fully sit into, like, the visualization of, like, where we want to be and what does it look like to get there.
Yeah, what's the end goal?
What's the end goal, but what can we do in between?
Yeah.
Because it's not just about the end. The end will be there, but
the journey.
Yeah, as cliche as it sounds, the journey is a part of it. So, yeah, y'all.
Wow, this was really fruitful.
I loved it.
I feel great.
Yeah, no, I've enjoyed getting to talk to you about all these things and take little gems ourselves.
Oh my gosh, but I think also it's because we haven't seen each other.
We haven't, which I'm not saying it's good, but
no,
I like
good,
the fact that we can catch up.
So much came from
way.
that.
Oh, Candress. Okay, y'all.
Well, we got to get out of here so we can film our budding topics. But please like, share, subscribe.
And follow See Something, Say Something Pod on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. And yeah, we're trying to get into how we're going to brand and market and plans for the future, potentially like a podcast party or maybe a meetup. And
I love that.
Yeah, we're excited. So thank you guys for listening and tuning in to See Something, Say Something.
Over and out.
Bye. We'll see you next time.